Machiavelli's Prince can seem really absurd reading it today. I think that, he's just like, he just seems like an evil guy. He seems paranoid. He's just like, people are going to take advantage of you if you show them love. So you have to show them fear, or you have to instill fear in them so you can control them. Um, and I think it's really easy to read and dismiss and be like, this guy, what a goofball. And oh, it's Stalin's favorite book. Like, oh, of course it is. But I reflected on it more, and it's actually extremely relevant. And I feel like it shows up in our lives in many ways. And I do feel like there's a reason that it made its way into the Western canon. I think that, first of all, this idea that we can't just show love, we need to put fear into people. It shows up all the time in relationships, for example. You don't need to be a prince. A lot of people in relationships, at some point, they hit a place where they're like, I've just been being too kind and too accepting and too forgiving, and I'm being taken advantage of, and I need to put my foot down and I need to set an ultimatum. And my ultimatum is going to be that I'm going to leave if you don't change your behavior. Um, and that probably puts fear into the person the person that you're with, correct? And probably like a Puritan priest from the 17th century would say, no, you shouldn't do that. Just stay submissive and stay docile and just keep loving like Jesus did, like be a servant or something like this. But who can really assert that? And I'm not saying that's Machiavellian or anything, but just the idea that sometimes you need to put your foot down in order for people to change, right? I think a better example probably is the climate crisis. So there are a lot of people like Michael Schellenberger, a lot of the Republican Party, who think the climate crisis or climate activists are alarmists. So it's actually like not such a pressing deal, and actually like things are mostly fine and we're gonna be fine. Um, and they're actually just causing a bunch of unnecessary climate anxiety and doomerism in a whole generation. And that could be true. I don't know. But the climate activist take is that we need to wake people up, and part of the way that we're going to actually solve the problem and change people's behaviors is to get them afraid of the consequences of what will happen if they continue. Um, it's similar with addiction, right? Like you sometimes scared straight, brilliant example, right? Like sometimes you just need to instill fear into the heart of kids and be like, hey, if you go down this path, you're going to end up here. It's going to suck. And you scare them straight. And maybe some ultra gentle person would be like, wow, like there must be a better way. You don't need to make these kids afraid. But maybe fear is a useful emotion that, if used rightly, um, as a parent or something like this, as a parent or someone who's trying to do the right thing, like maybe it can be a force for good. I don't know. Like if I'm afraid of, uh, yeah, like maybe we're afraid of jumping into a fire or something. This is like a good self-protective thing, right? Like fear doesn't have to be this bad thing. I think the reason Machiavelli seems absurd is because he's just so psychopathic, and he's just so caught up in this worldview of like you got to be conniving in order to get anything done in this world, and he doesn't seem especially virtuous, and so that's probably why he comes off that way. But I still think the major themes are very much relevant to just day-to-day things. C.S. Lewis kind of refers to a similar concept in Abolition of Man, where he kind of implies that we should be training our emotional responses to be appropriate to the situation. And so if we see something beautiful, we shouldn't call it pretty. We should really feel the awe and wonder and be like, this is sublime. We should feel the emotion of sublime. If we see a beautiful thing and we're just like, oh, it's kind of cool, there's something wrong with us. Like we're emotionally unhealthy or unbalanced, and we have to regulate or reorder our emotions so that we see the beautiful thing and feel awe and wonder. It's a high ask, but yeah. And I'm wondering if fear is similar, right? Like if we see something that should be alarming, like our house is on fire, and we're just like, oh, this is fine, like that meme, then it seems like a problem, right? Like, you might say it's really spiritual. Maybe at some level it is, but I think this is a normal video for normal people. Like, I'm just assuming no one's enlightened here. If you are, like, please give me your perspective. But yeah, I just think that it makes sense to encourage fear for what you should be afraid of. And so, from that sense, like, I think if climate change is a genuine problem, instilling fear into the hearts of people about the climate is actually an extremely noble thing that can enact good behavioral change. Or standing up to someone in an abusive relationship being like, I'm going to leave. Not even an abusive relationship. It doesn't have to be abusive, just like maybe a unhealthy relationship, just being like, I'm going to leave if you don't make this change, or I'm going to leave you. That can also enact positive change. And people are like, oh, there's something that feels bad about it, to someone who's trying to be super pure, I guess. But I don't know. Makes sense to me. Fear can be good sometimes. Maybe employ Machiavellianism in a conscious way to achieve noble ends. I don't know.